We'll start with Claisen ester condensation. Uh, the reaction is quite similar to aldol condensation that we have already studied. In aldol condensation, we used aldehyde or a ketone molecule and reacted with each other. Maybe it was a self-condensation reaction also. So similarly, this is Claisen ester condensation where two molecules of ester are going to undergo a condensation kind of reaction to give you the product. So Claisen ester condensation, it is a condensation of two molecules of ester. Two molecules of ester could be similar, so they could be identical esters, or they could be two different ester molecules that we'll see. Just like aldol, so you have your basic aldol reaction where two similar molecules of aldehyde are reacting. Similarly, you have a Claisen ester condensation where two same molecules of ester are reacting to form a product. Just like cross aldol, you also have a cross Claisen condensation where two different molecules of ester, two different structures of ester are condensing to give you the product. It's a reaction pretty similar to aldol condensation. In aldol, there was base catalyzed and there was acid catalyzed. In Claisen ester condensation, we are going to use ethoxide as a base or alkoxide as a base instead of a hydroxide. The reason for using ethoxide over hydroxide, we will learn more about that as we go ahead. So the condensation is pretty simple. The mechanism is quite similar to your aldol condensation. So I have taken here one molecule of ester. So this is your ethyl acetate. So now the prime requirement for this reaction is quite similar to aldol condensation, whereas at least the ester should have one alpha hydrogen so that enolate can be formed. Just like your aldol, we are going to create a nucleophile from one molecule of ester, and then we are also going to create an electrophile from the same molecule of ester. The reaction that we are seeing right now, I'm using two molecules of the same ester, which is ethyl acetate. So the first step is nothing but generation of a nucleophile, meaning nothing but a enolate ion. So here is my alpha hydrogen that is going to react with your sodium ethoxide in the presence of ethanol as your solvent. Your ethoxide, being a base, is going to abstract that proton, the alpha hydrogen, and that electrons are going to shift to the carbon-carbon bond. And the double bond between C and O is going to shift to the oxygen. So your O is going to get the negative charge. This proton, as it leaves with the ethoxide, it is going to keep its electrons back. Those electrons are going to form a double bond between C and this C. So here there is a carbon-carbon double bond being formed. So now this your enolate ion is being formed. Enolate ion, as I had earlier described with my aldol condensation reaction, ion where there is a C to C double bond and there is a negative charge on the oxygen. That's an enolate ion. This enolate ion will now rearrange itself to give me my nucleophile. This double bond, the electrons from this double bond will move on this carbon. So now this carbon will get a negative charge. This oxygen from this negative charge on the oxygen will move back and form that double bond. So now my nucleophile is ready. This is the first step of the mechanism of Claisen ester condensation. My nucleophile is ready using one molecule of your ester. Now let's see what happens to the second molecule of ester. So as similar to aldol here, if one molecule has already formed the nucleophile, obviously the second molecule of ester now has to form the electrophile. So we'll see that now. So here is my second molecule of ethyl acetate. Now I'm going to generate an electrophile. Generating an electrophile is quite easy. The double bond is going to shift on the oxygen. So oxygen is going to carry the negative charge. Because the double bond has moved away from the carbon, now the carbon, the central carbon, the carbonyl carbon has now developed a positive charge. So now your electrophile is also ready. So now your electrophile is ready, your nucleophile is ready. Now I have drawn here the electrophile again, and I have drawn here the nucleophile again. So now two molecules of ethyl acetate are going to condense to form a product. My nucleophile is going to attack this positive center, which is the electrophile. So I have drawn the condensation product here. This CH3 is here. This O is again here. This O-ethyl is again here, whereas this central carbon, the one with the positive charge, is here. And now to this central carbon, which is electrophilic in nature, my nucleophilic carbon is going to attack, and I'm going to form a C2C bond, a new C2C bond. So CH2 is attacking this central carbon, forming a bond, a new C2C carbon bond, and the rest of the molecule remains the same, C double bond O, C double bond O, O-ethyl, O-ethyl. Now, if you can see, this is an intermediate. This is almost a tetrahedral kind of structure. It is going to be unstable, so it is immediately going to undergo some rearrangement. Negative charge is going to come back to its original position to form the C double bond O. And if that is going to form, one bond has to break. And here your O-ethyl, the O-ethyl bond is going to break and giving you this kind of product. Now, this product, as you can see, it has two keto groups and it is also an ester. So if you start naming it on IUPAC, you'll first start with this name, ethyl, and then your numbering will start from 1, 2, 3, 4. So it is butan. So ethyl 3-oxo, because on the 1, 2, 3, because on the third carbon there is an oxygen. So ethyl 3-oxo, 4 carbons, that is why butanoate. This is the IUPAC name. Common name, it can also be called as ethyl acetoacetate. Remember both these names, these will be used quite a lot as we go ahead. Ethyl acetoacetate. So this is your general mechanism for glycine ester condensation. Now we'll talk about the equilibrium of this glycine condensation. So the base, that is ethoxide, that you're using is not strong enough to transform the ester entirely into enolate. The first step, if you remember, of the mechanism is formation of your enolate. The first step, the nucleophilic generation. So because ethoxide is not a strong base, the formation of enolate is not happening as much as it should. It is donated by the arrows that you can see here, the size of the arrows. So it's obviously a two-way reaction happening. It's an equilibrium reaction. If you can see, the forward arrow is very small. The backward arrow is quite large in length. So that indicates that your enolate formation, the quantity of enolate formation is quite less. More of your unreacted ester is still going to be there. But my reaction still is happening. Eventually my ethyl acetoacetate that is formed here is still going to form. So if this reaction is not happening as much as it should, then what is driving the reaction? What is making the final product to be formed? Something has to drive the reaction. So in aldol condensation, you had learned that the driving force could be the dehydration, that step that was involved in the last stage of aldol condensation where a water molecule is removed. Similarly here, irreversible deprotonation step is involved. That is the driving force for the reaction to complete. So now let's assume the first step has happened. The enolate is being formed. The enolate has been formed, but the problem is the enolate quantity is not as much as we would have wanted. Now this enolate is going to react with the second molecule of your ester. This second molecule is now going to behave like a electrophile. This enolate is now your nucleophile. Both these are going to undergo a condensation reaction to form this product, which we have already learned, ethyl acetoacetate. But again, this is still not the driving force. Again, this is a two-way reaction. But now again, still this is not the driving force because my quantity of enolate produced is quite less. So I have to have some driving force is going to make sure that this product is formed in a large quantity. So now what is going to happen is, as you can see here, this carbon, the carbon between the two keto groups, is an acidic carbon. It has acidic protons. One of these protons can be deprotonated by the O-ethoxy group that has been removed. If you remember, the O-ethoxy group is removed in the condensation step. So that O-ethoxy that has been removed is going to act as a base and going to abstract that acidic proton, due to which, while it is abstracting the proton, this double bond is going to go up on the oxygen, giving the negative charge. Once the proton is removed from this carbon, that electrons are going to go into this carbon-carbon bond, giving rise to this double bond. So now this process is called as irreversible deprotonation. If you can see, I have also denoted by a single direction arrow. So this is completely unidirectional reaction. This is the driving force. Because the O-ethoxy was removed in the condensation process, this O-ethoxy is now going to deprotonate this acidic hydrogen, forming this stable enolate again. This is going to be my driving force of the reaction. Because of this driving force, more and more molecules of ester are going to get converted to your enolate. Your enolate is going to react with another molecule of electrophile, forming your ethyl acetoacetate. But that ethyl acetoacetate is going to be deprotonated using your O-ethoxy group. Eventually, there is going to be deprotonation forming this enolate. But again, my reaction is yet not over because I eventually want to make ethyl acetoacetate. So now this reactive enolate is eventually going to get protonated in the presence of HCl and water. So if you can see here, that is your reactive enolate here. Here now again, what is going to happen is the proton from the acid is going to protonate this double bond, and this negative charge is again going to come back to form this molecule. This molecule is nothing but your ethyl acetoacetate. This is exactly how the reaction is proceeding. If you remember, if you go back to the mechanism of this, in the mechanism, it is directly showing the formation of ethyl acetoacetate. It is not showing you the actual irreversible deprotonation step. That step is shown only in the equilibrium reactions of Claisen condensation. So ideally, once the ethyl acetoacetate is formed, even in the mechanism, ideally what is going to happen next is the O-ethoxy that is being expelled from this condensation is going to deprotonate this acidic hydrogen, forming this enolate. This enolate is eventually again going to get protonated using your HCl water and eventually giving rise to ethyl acetoacetate. So this is your complete Claisen ester condensation reaction. You started with one molecule of ester. So you are starting with two molecules of ester. Because this is a self-condensation reaction, in the presence of sodium ethoxide and ethanol, you are going to form this reactive enolate. This reactive enolate is going to get protonated eventually, and you'll get your final product called as ethyl acetoacetate. Now, why use ethoxide instead of hydroxide? If I use a hydroxide base, say NaOH or KOH or NaOH can easily hydrolyze the ester back to acid and alcohol. So I started with two molecules of ester, right? If I use a hydroxide base, that base is going to be sufficient enough to react with the ester and hydrolyze it itself to its starting material, acid and alcohol. If you remember, esters are formed by a reaction between acid and alcohol. So I can't use my hydroxide as a base. I have to use something which is mild, which is your ethoxide as a base. Now, how do you know that deprotonation is going to drive your reaction? It's quite simple. What is your proof that the deprotonation step that you learned here, irreversible deprotonation, is the step that is driving the reaction? What is your proof for that? So what they have done here is they have taken another, this is nothing but a copy of your Claydon. So if you have the soft copy of Claydon, which I'm sure everybody has, you'll get these reactions in Claydon itself. So if you can see here, what they have taken is they have taken such a ester that has only one alpha hydrogen, due to which it will form an enolate. That enolate will react with another molecule of the same ester, which will now act as an electrophile. And if you can see here the equilibrium, the unfavorable equilibrium, to form this kind of condensation product. Now the problem with this condensation product, if you can see here, between the two C double bond O's, ideally there was a CH2 in your previous example, the basic example they are taken. If you can see here, there were two acidic hydrogen. And now if you see, if they see the starting material that they have taken, and now there are absolutely no alpha hydrogens here. No acidic hydrogens here. So that is why this molecule cannot be deprotonated now. Eventually, if you carry out this reaction, you will hardly get any yield. The yield will be almost negligible. The reason being, the reaction is not going to complete because of the unfavorable equilibrium and the lack of acidic hydrogens for deprotonation. The reaction is just not going to go ahead. More of the it will go towards the left, and more of the unreacted ester will be there in your beaker. The reaction won't happen. Now, something called as crossed ester condensation. Now we'll try to see if there are 4 different esters here given to you. We'll try to see now cross ester condensations, very similar to cross aldol condensations, where we had taken 2 different starting materials. So now we are going to take 2 different ester molecules and we are trying to react with each other. So first one, see here, diethyl oxalate is one ester that is given to you. It has 2 carboxyl group, C double bond O, ethyl formate, diethyl carbonate, and ethyl benzoate. So there are 4 different esters given to you. So now among these 4 esters, first try to find out, are they going to behave as nucleophiles, meaning they are going to form the enolate, or are they going to behave as electrophiles? If you can see in all 4, none of these 4 have your alpha hydrogen. In all these 4 ester molecules, none of them have alpha hydrogen. So that is why all these 4 esters, if you use, are going to act as an electrophile. And the other ester, if it has an alpha hydrogen, will act as a nucleophile and form your product. So these are some of the examples that you need to solve. I will also give you the solutions ahead of this, but try solving these 3 examples. 2 different molecules of esters are given to you in all the 3 reactions. If you can see in the first reaction, this ester does have a alpha hydrogen here, CH2. This is a alpha carbon. There are 2 hydrogens attached here. So this is alpha hydrogen present. So this molecule can act as a nucleophile. It can generate your enolate. The other ester molecule, if you can see, has no alpha hydrogen. So by default, this is going to act as the electrophile. So now you will ask me, sir, which carbon is going to act as an electrophile? This is a symmetrical molecule. So even this carbon can act as an electrophile. Even this carbon can act as an electrophile. Both the centers can act as an electrophile. Because this being a symmetrical molecule, you can choose any carbon and do the reaction on that carbon. If you look at the second example here, this ester molecule has a alpha hydrogen, and this is going to react and form your nucleophile and your enolate. This molecule, if you see here, again does not have alpha hydrogen, so this is going to be your electrophile. The last example here, if you can see, the carbonyl carbon is here. This is the alpha carbon here, so CH2. So this is present. So this is going to act as your nucleophile, is going to form your enolate. If you look at this ester, obviously again, it does not have alpha hydrogen and it is going to act as your electrophile. So the first example that was drawn here, the first example to solve, after solving, you can see the product that is formed, which is here. The second reaction, you can see the product formation over here. This is the second product that is going to form. The third reaction, the product is formed over here. Now, before you draw the products, there is a chance that this molecule can also undergo self-condensation. Just like if you remember the aldol condensation, we sometimes had a mixture of 4 products. One product was due to the reaction between aldehyde and ketone. The other product was between the self-condensation of an aldehyde, the self-condensation of a ketone. Similarly, one product could be the condensation between these 2. One product could be the self-condensation between this molecule itself. because this has alpha hydrogen. The third product, will this molecule have a third product? No, it won't have a third product because self-condensation cannot happen over here because it does not have a alpha hydrogen. So meaning it cannot act as a nucleophile. So two kinds of products can be formed in the first example. One is the condensation product, another is the self-condensation product of this ester. Which is going to be higher? Obviously, the condensation product is going to be more in yield because this is going to be a very strong electrophile. If this is undergoing self-condensation, this has to act as an electrophile also, it has to act as a nucleophile also. Whereas if it has an electrophile which is much more stronger, this condensation product will form more in percentage. That is why you can see there is almost a 83% yield of the condensation product, whereas the self condensation, which will be slow, it will be almost negligible. So this was your Claisen ester condensation. If there is any doubt, if you thought that this was a little bit faster, please let me know. We can again do this reactions again. We can do a Skype call or a Zoom classroom and we can try to solve all your doubts if you have any. So go through these. I'll send this PPT also across on your email ID. You can go through that. If you have any doubts, you can reach me directly. You can call me directly. You can message me. Thank you.